Hey there, what's up? My name's Garrett. If you clicked on this video, then you are looking for a worship keys template for Ableton Lite, and like me, you probably have a hard time finding one. There's a lot of templates, for worship keys for Ableton Standard, Ableton Suite. A lot of times those have like Omnisphere plugins that you need and Keyscape plugins. So if you don't have a pretty extensive keys library already, then it's hard to get a lot of those templates. So I wanted to make a template that was accessible for especially beginner worship keys players in Ableton that you can use to make a great tone, even if you have the most basic Ableton, which is Ableton Lite. So any version of Ableton that you have, this is going to work great in. So I'll walk you through, I'll play a little bit, let you hear the tone, and then I'll walk through each of the pieces and elements of this template so you can see what's all in there. So let's get going. Alright, so as you can see, pretty dynamic. There are a couple features I didn't even use right there. This patch has what you need for a basic worship setup. It's got a piano tone, it has a pads tone that changes filters so to add dynamics for choruses, big bridges versus like light verses. And then it also has a synth lead for big lines, as well as an arpeggiator to add some movement to choruses and bridges. So I'll go through each of these elements. You've got this MIDI track here, where my mouse is. I made it an instrument rack just to save a little bit on the Ableton CPU. I don't know if it's called Ableton, it's something else, but the CPU that Ableton uses to keep that low so it's not overloading ever. In your instrument rack, you'll see all your instruments. So we've got here grand piano, octave piano, pad, synth lead. And then I've got these macros custom built so that you can map all of these different features to your own MIDI keyboard and control live really easily. So let's break it down a little more. Grand piano, that's our basic tone that you hear. I can take out the pad for now. So just the basic Ableton grand piano. Sounds super nice for just a stock Ableton tone. I did map to this piano tone a tone knob, so you can hear. Right now I have it about 50, and you can see I'm bringing it down. This is all the way sort of soft dynamics. Can be really cool for mellow moments to have that soft piano. And then I'm going to brighten it up all the way. This is all the way bright. You can hear how different that sounds, and I'll bring it back midway. So midway is where I normally have it, but yeah, that tone knob itself on the piano can add a lot, especially during those low moments. You can soften it up, brighten it up for higher tempo songs. A lot of times keys parts like, for example, I'm thinking of like Did You Feel the Mountains Tremble, like sort of more rhythmic, fast-paced songs can use sort of that brighter piano tone. All right, next we've got our octave piano. This is a layer that I put to add to the big elements. So in here, you've got your key and velocity ranges for each of these elements in your instrument rack. Octave piano, you see I've got the key brought up to about G3. Got it brought up to here, so if I play anything below here, I'm going to solo this octave piano. Anything below here, it's not going to activate. As soon as I go up, You can hear that. I've also got it velocity sensitive, so if I dig into the keys, it's gonna activate, but if I don't, it's gonna stay. So you can see my velocity, it's not too high. Now I'm gonna start digging in. Now it starts to pop out. So that sounds really good. I'll do just the pianos now. You're just playing. Especially lead lines. Adds an octave there. I made it sound slightly different, shifted up an octave obviously, and then a chorus, just to give it a little bit of differentiation from the original piano. So you can adjust as needed depending on your MIDI keyboard sensitivity. You might want to drag this velocity sensitivity range closer, to 100 or something, but this should be a good bass level for you. Okay, pad. So this pad is a great, just warm pad. I've got a few things that I did just to help with the tone of it. I pitch shifted it up an octave again to separate it from your normal keys, and then I also sidechain compressed it to the keys. So when you're playing keys, the pads are going to dip out pretty subtly, but just to give it some separation so that your keys really stand out when you're playing. So that'll help with your tone. And then I have a filter attached to it. So you heard as I shifted dynamics, the pad got really bright, almost synthy, and then it got back down to that mellow chill pad. So here's all the way down. Nice and chill. Then I can bring it up. That filter, especially beginner's keys player, if you haven't done much adjusting live with your tone, this is huge for a beginner keys player. Being able to change your pad filter, that alone adds so much to your keys dynamics, so that those big moments you've got almost this synth sound breaking through, up especially in the high end, and then those softer moments you can tone it back down. That pad filter is huge, so definitely if you're not utilizing something like that, start utilizing it. Next, I've got a synth lead on here. So synth lead you hear during big moments, it's filtered with the pad. So when the pad filter goes up, the synth filter goes up. When it goes down, it goes down. I built it to stay the same with the pads. Let's say we've got a big moment. I'll do that Reckless Love line again. Big moment, here's synth all the way in. With everything. Filter it out, and you can hear them both filter there. So that synth line is great for adding in big moments, especially lead lines before a bridge, before a chord. That synth line can add a lot. Last element I've got here is an arpeggiator. I've just got an on-off switch for the arpeggiator, and that's linked to the pads. So when I bring this arpeggiator up all the way, you're gonna hear, let me filter this up. So you can hear some movement going on there. This is in the pad here, and you can adjust this as needed depending on what you like for your arpeggiators. I have it groove it straight in the order that I play my keys in. So depending on how I put my hand down, that's how it's gonna arpeggiate. You can mess around with that and see what you like. This is best used if you are in a band that uses a click. So if your worship band does not use a click, then please don't use the arpeggiator. It's going to throw everything off. It's like everyone clapping off the beat. So the arpeggiator is great if you're playing to a click. You can tap in your tempo up here in the tempo section of Ableton. Just make sure that you've got the right tempo. And then the arpeggiator automatically goes at that tempo. I've also got in here an audio track. I don't have the keys built into there on the template that you buy. These are just my MP3 files from my worship pads that I created. You can get those if you'd like. I just dragged them in, and you can play them here. So if you have your own pads that you like, feel free to drag your own MP3 files in, put them here. I have them already sent, this audio track, to a reverb and delay for you, so that whatever you drag in there, it will be really smooth transitions. So you can see I'll change key. Super smooth transition. Whatever you drag in should be pretty good to go. I have it volume wise down a bit just so I can play along. Obviously I want my keys tone to be louder than what's going on. Backing pads, they're great, especially for those moments in between songs. A lot of times I know keys players, you guys are filling in those spaces, so this just helps you out. Let's see, last thing I got here on my master, I can turn this off. So in this master track, I've got a master EQ and compressor in there just to smooth out everything and make sure that front of house is getting the best signal as possible, and to make sure you're not peaking at any point when you're playing. So yeah, I think that's all I've got to show you about this template. If you're interested in this, I have this for sale on my website. You can go check it out. If you have any questions about the template, feel free to comment in the video. One note I did want to make, you can drag your own tone to any of these. So if you have a grand piano tone that you like I have a Grandeur Native Instruments plugin that I use in place of this grand piano, you can drag it into this preset. Same with if you have a pad or a synth lead that you really like. You can even add instruments if you'd like to add other layers to this. Feel free to make it yours. This is just a template that does a pretty good job of making some bass tones in Ableton Lite that sound great. Again, it works in Ableton Standard, Ableton Suite as well. So any version of Ableton you have, it's going to work great. And hopefully this will help make your keys tone even better. Appreciate you guys watching. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks.